got a huge weekend pattern that I think everyone should be paying attention to because this could be the swing that takes crypto markets into the next major direction. Okay, what I'm talking about here is the 12-hour time frame for Bitcoin because this is a rising wedge pattern which has a higher probability of breaking to the downside. Now, let's just say if Bitcoin breaks down by this point, for example, that would take Bitcoin back to about 113K. Why is that important for you altcoin holders? That's because Bitcoin is still the driver of this market. If Bitcoin dumps, which that is still a pretty decent dump. I mean, not a 10% dump, but that would still take the altcoins down quite a bit, okay? So this is something to be watching because there's going to be a move coming here soon. As we can see, there was an attempt to actually break out of this rising wedge pattern to the upside because there is still a smaller chance that it could break to the upside, okay? So, something to be watching. This is the 12-hour time frame. Now, we're going to be taking a look into a few critical things later in this video as well, which includes some altcoin setups. We're going to be talking about Moo Deng, the meme coin. Going to be talking about AI16Z, which I have a long position in. We're going to be talking about Arweave because some viewers have questions about what I think about Arweave. So I will go ahead and answer that for you later in the charts. We're also going to be taking a look into some major economics and cryptos news that could affect the markets. That's going to be very short in the future. So, it's not an episode you want to miss. Let's go ahead and dive into some news first before diving into the charts. Alright, this is by Crypto Potato. All classic signs of a top. Crypto analyst rings Bitcoin alarm. This sounds like a bearish tone here, where I'm not gonna get too much into the news, but if you guys want to, let's do it because I see some content that might contradict what my first impression of the headline is. So it says Bitcoin declined modestly on Friday as its rally lost steam as enthusiasm about lower U.S. borrowing costs tapered off. New data suggests that crypto asset may be approaching a cycle top. Bitcoin rally nearing its breaking points. Okay, let's breaking points. I wanna know more about what he's talking about this breaking point. Is it gonna be? Are we dumping from here or are we breaking out from here? It sounds like he's suggesting that we're gonna be dumping from here, based on this bearish tone. According to the latest analysis from crypto trader Cassie Trades, Bitcoin has reached the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement level at around 117.9K, which she describes as textbook target for a potential wave 2 pivot. This level, she argues, is one of the most common bearish turning points in a market cycle. So this basically confirms that this analyst thinks that we're going to be dumping from here. I disagree because based on a few points, right, I think we're still very low on the monthly RSI reading for Bitcoin comparing to previous bull cycles back in November 2021, comparing back in 2017. I think we're still at a very low RSI monthly reading. That is one major point I want to argue. And then the Fed has just started its rate cycle. I think that's major driving driving more cheap money into this market. That's bullish for the risk on assets like stocks and Bitcoin, which are very highly correlated with each other. And of course, the monthly time frame, the candle there, we still have not yet retraced that July pump, but it is going to be a very critical monthly candle close coming. Next piece is by News BTC. Bitcoin price drops to 115K after rate cut rally, but Bitcoin far from capitulation. I mean, dude, I mean, we're just really we retraced 2% for Bitcoin, and some of these analysts are really milking this pullback. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, in my opinion. I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins here, including AI16Z. So my opinion on this market is bullish. But these are just my opinions, of course, not financial advice. You got to form your own opinions. But I just don't think this bull cycle is far from over. Okay. Next piece here is by Coinpedia. Altcoins all season 2025 hype grows, but analyst warns it's not here yet. I think we're. I mean, I really think we're in alt season already, based on just the more bullish price action that has been building up to this total 3 chart breakout. We have tapped the all-time highs. We have already made new all-time highs for total 3, but it hasn't pulled away from that resistance yet. Okay, I'll point that out to you guys in just a second, but I think it's coming sooner than later. So we ran out of interesting news to talk about for the weekend. So I'm going to talk about some traders' ideas that seems to be very popular in TradingView. So this one trader's idea from TradingView, you guys can see other traders' ideas from TradingView, and you guys can disagree or agree. If you guys don't have a TradingView account, I highly recommend that you guys get one, because if you guys trade without TradingView, you guys are trading blind in this market. You guys can use the charts in the exchanges, but they're not very sophisticated charts. If you really want to learn how to trade, you need TradingView. I've been using it for the past over 5+ years. I have an affiliate link in the description section below. If you guys sign up using my link, I will get a commission, and that supports my channel. And thank you very much. But let's come back to this trader's idea. And this trader's idea is from triangle to flag 118K. I mean, I think this is kind of an outdated idea, because we have already seen kind of Bitcoin has already tapped 118K. So I mean, there's little target left, and this is the 4-hour time frame, right? So it might be a little outdated, but it's a very popular idea. It's got quite a bit of views. What I'm seeing here is a rising wedge, and I'm sticking to what I'm seeing here. Now you're gonna see traders see different things with different charts depending on how they chart. I think I have pretty good confidence in how I chart, and what I'm seeing here is still a rising wedge, and that's why this is very important to be paying attention to. But it sounds like this trader is more bullish than it's more bullish. However, there are some bearish ideas like this one. Says will Bitcoin break out of this range? Because there are a few possibilities here, right? This trader is charting an ascending channel, which works almost exactly like a rising wedge. It is a bearish pattern that has a higher chance of breaking down, right? So this seems to align with my idea some more, because I am charting that we are in a rising wedge pattern. Let's come back to the Bitcoin chart here. Very important for Bitcoin to break out of this rising wedge to the upside. That'd be very bullish. However, if it comes down, which has a higher probability of, breakdown target would be about 113K. Excuse me. All right, 113K. That's going to take the altcoins down quite a bit, okay? And we also have to mind that Bitcoin is still in a bigger rising wedge pattern that is more notable on the daily time frame, on the weekly time frame, and the breakdown target here is going to be the bigger rising wedge pattern. It's going to be almost 75K. that's going to be catastrophic. I don't think we're going to get there. I mean, I think there's a very small chance given the amount of moving averages and support we have below the price action. Price targets are estimates only. There can be more, there can be less. Okay, very much depends on the type of market we're in. If we're talking about Bitcoin, I still think we're in a bull market. But if we're talking about altcoins, it's really going to depend on what's happening with Bitcoin in terms of its price targets. Let's go ahead and go to total 3. You will find a very similar charts for total 3 here, except this chart is more significant because even though on the 12-hour time frame we're seeing a rising wedge pattern, if this thing breaks down, that's not going to be good for the altcoin markets, and we could be seeing a breakdown target of about a 1.07 trillion if it breaks down by this point. For example, if this thing breaks out to the upside against its probabilities, that's very good for the altcoins. Let's take a look into the weekly time frame. I've been talking about this pattern here. This pattern has been, it's a huge pattern. It has been forming since late 2021. Just look at this. The resistance was about a 1.1 trillion, 1.15 trillion. We have broken above that, tapped 1.17 trillion, but we are in a rise and wedge pattern. So it's very important for total 3 to actually break and pull away from this pattern here with a more solid breakout here, because it did try to break out, but it was not solid. So this is why you want to see a solid breakout here, and potentially if this thing breaks out to the upside, that could be it. Let's go ahead and go to altcoins. We're going to be talking about Moo Deng. See what's happening with this meme coin here. Weekly time frame, very important to be watching out because I've talked about a few patterns that has been playing out already. Okay, so we have a falling wedge pattern here on this weekly time frame. That's probably more validated on a lower time frame. Price target would be about 29 cents for Moo Deng. That is still a valid price target. Still a valid breakout. Price action is still above that upper trend line of that pattern it broke out of. Falling wedge patterns you should definitely pay attention to. Very simple, effective, that are good for lower risk entries. Now, I am pointing out that there is a double bottom here as well. I want to add that. Okay, the resistance for this double bottom pattern would be about, just say, I'm going to say 25 cents to be rounded. Price target for this double bottom pattern would be about almost 38 cents. Double bottoms are bullish patterns that usually break to the upside. Okay, price targets are estimates only. And I talked about a smaller falling wedge pattern here. Broke to the upside, okay, and this one went way above its price target. This is what I'm talking about in bull cycles. Now, Moo Deng went as far up as about almost 24 cents. Okay, what could be doing now? It's already above all its daily moving averages. I know I've seen some viewers of mine saying that Moo Deng is dead. I know that, a lot of this price action could really bore people sometimes, and this has been one of the more boring cycles I've seen, right? Comparing to 2021, 2020. But that doesn't mean that these coins are dead, okay? Yeah, it's boring. It's boring to watch, it's sleepy to watch, but it doesn't mean that there's no money to be made and that these coins are dead. I'm just talking about the charts as a whole, not any about any specific projects or coins or even Moo Deng. But if there's a chart, there is still a chance of a bounce back. Let's take a look into the weekly time frame one more time. It is trying to stay on top of the weekly moving averages, your weekly 50 SMA, your weekly 21 SMA. all basically right there. We're about 17, 18 cents. Very important, Moo Deng stays above these moving averages, otherwise it becomes resistance again. Let's go ahead and go to AI16Z. 3-day time frame. AI16Z. Falling wedge pattern. Broke out of it quite some time ago. Back in the 3-day candle of February 6th this year. Price target would be about $1.70, a little above that. Price target still valid because I still see the price action above that upper trend line of that pattern it broke out of. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame here. I mentioned 2 falling wedge patterns, both of which still valid. Now, the smallest one here, price target would be about $17. AI16Z. I hope it gets there because I'm really trying to get out of my long position here. And I'm on a leverage position with AI16Z. It's been down almost 50%, but I still think this bull cycle is on, so that's why I'm holding on. And it's not something I can't afford to lose. But that is just my own strategy. You guys got to use your own strategy, right? Don't follow me. Now, it broke out. This one broke out back in September 8th. I think I talked about it last time. It hasn't really been doing too much. It is trying to get a solid footing above some of these daily moving averages. You got your daily 200 SMA at about 18 cents, right? That's going to be above the price target. Let's see if it gets there. The price target for this bigger, the second falling wedge pattern would be about 30 cents. So quite a few targets to be looking at. Let's see if this AI coin can actually get there. Next piece, the next one here is going to be Arweave, which is another AI coin. That's a smaller coin, so more volatility. What do I think about Arweave now? Because some of my viewers want to know. So this weekly time frame, still valid pattern, okay? Higher time frame patterns, less volatile, obviously, right? And this is a falling wedge pattern, still valid. It broke out on the week of July 7th, hasn't done too much. There was a double bottom pattern here within the falling wedge pattern. Price target would be about $14 Arweave. That is still a valid pattern. Now the neckline of that double bottom would be about $9. I'm gonna say for rounded sake. Okay, so that is something to be mindful of. Now you're gonna have your weekly 50 SMA at about $11. The white line there, that's gonna be resistance. Your weekly 200 SMA at about $16 coming down. The orange line there. Those are some key resistances on this weekly time frame. Now, since the breakout of that bigger falling wedge pattern, it has formed a smaller falling wedge pattern here. So not much has really changed since the last time I talked about it. Arweave is still in the middle of this falling wedge pattern, still trying to get solid candle closes above some of these daily moving averages. If it closes above it with solid candle closes, they become support. If they're still above it, they're resistance. Now, let's just say if Arweave breaks out by, I'm going to move this measure move a little down along this upper trend line, just to give it some room to talk about, because it doesn't look like it's going to break out anytime soon. I could be wrong. Let's just say if it breaks out by this point here, price target would still be about just right underneath $11. Okay, so that's basically what I'm seeing for Arweave. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. 4-hour time frame. Very important for Arweave to break out of this upper trend line. Otherwise, it could form some type of a falling wedge pattern, and more consolidation could still be around. So this basically wraps it up for this video for Moo Deng, AI16Z, Arweave. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of these coins or any other coins in this market by dropping a like, comment, subscribe. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis.